It's insane to think that people can still get hyped for another Mortal Kombat game, given the fact that the series is in its 10th entry and has a few spin-offs. Some that are good, others that shouldn't even be mentioned at all. Never! That's not to say the Mortal Kombat universe had some rough times, especially when it was in control of the now faded Midway. Under its control, however, many might say that the series was doomed with a string of terrible games due to the release of Mortal Kombat 3. To which I say, get out of here. Mortal Kombat 3 isn't that bad. It had rad characters like Sector, Cabal, Striker, Night Wolf. Others might say it was when Mortal Kombat went into 3D with its 4th entry. To which I say, the game was okay, I guess. But not the worst. Go ahead and etch it in stone that either one began the decline. But if you had to choose a particular game that started the downfall, I would say it started before 4, but after 3. A game made within Midway which laid the groundwork for future installments in the 3D series of Mortal Kombat. To be honest, the game is not really tied to the MK universe, but it does borrow a lot from its style, and it might as well be. The title? War Gods. I'm not gonna lie, hearing the title immediately has me in awe while wondering what gods I'll be able to play as. Possibly the option to choose the Lord of the Underworld himself, or whatever mythological god was shown to me during the Disney movie Hercules. Let's see what we got in this game.
Round 1, begin.
So we're looking at the footage, and it appears that we have a soldier shooting rockets out of his hands at, I believe, a cyborg. It is what I see. That is what I see. I'm pretty sure we all have the same kind of questions in our heads, and I'll be the first to ask. How are these gods? I mean, I only spot like 2 godlike names in the character selection screen, and last time I checked, there was no mythological being called Sci-Fi. From what I read, an alien spaceship carrying special space ore crashed into molten Earth millions of years ago. Over the course of time, humans found these objects in which transformed them into godlike beings known as war gods. Well, it does explain why we have Betty Page laying the smackdown to Madonna over there. But to be fair though, a fighting game story and plot is rarely good, and what really matters is the characters themselves. So you got 10 characters to choose from that each have the same backstory in which they come across the ore, it somehow changes them, and now they want to find more of its power. Hopefully that power is a better sense of style because whatever they have ain't doing them justice. I mean, we got Pagan rocking the butt floss, and Warhead trying to outstyle my grandmother with those shades. It's really a shame because while some look goofy, others are pretty boring like Maximus, who looks like a standard gladiator. The only interesting looking character in my opinion is Voodoo. Aside from his Hulk colored shorts, a giant slender man with a deformed painted head and long arms with giant claws is pretty interesting compared to the Terminator wannabe over there. The levels themselves suffer as well, with dark, murky, lifeless tones that rotate from temple to outdoor settings. They honestly look as if somebody put each level into a furnace and then took them out before they are burned to a crisp. So the game looks pretty bad. But how does it play? Well, it being a fighting game on the Nintendo 64, well,
what a piece of junk!
Using the joystick for a fighting game was revolutionary by moving around a 3D environment and making complex inputs for moves easy. But your thumb will end up sliding all over the Nintendo 64's joystick because of the lack of gripping. The button layout being poorly placed in the control makes it difficult to perform combos and special moves since you use the A and B buttons to punch and the C buttons up and right to kick. It's a bit of a distance to press the buttons, but it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't place the dodge and block buttons in between the punches and kicks as the default control scheme. You'll interrupt your own combos and specials by either blocking or dodging when you brush up against the C buttons left and down. Imagine walking, but every now and then you try to get in 2 steps with one foot before the other one reaches the ground. As awkward as it is, the button layout is nothing compared to the character movements. When performing a special move or combo, they look as if they're fighting stiffly underwater. It's very unnatural and janky most of the time, but combining this with its unforgivable difficulty makes for fun times!
Begin.
Unless you mastered the difficult combos to get through the game, you will pretty much resort to scum-like tactics, or super combos you mastered, as I like to call them. If you somehow beat the boss, you're treated to a still image of a character holding an oar saying that he or she saved the world. Wait, what? None of the characters' bios state anything about them wanting to save the world. Hell, more than half say that they're evil! What is even worse is that every character has the same exact ending text, with the difference of replacing he or she depending on which character you choose. It's really a shame to see an ending and game lazily put together and shoved into the gaming market at around $50 American at the time. It's safe to say that War Gods wouldn't exist without Mortal Kombat, since Midway had the bright idea to rip off one of its most successful franchises to date. Hell, if others are going to do it, you might as well do it, right? Remember, good artists copy and great artists steal. Pretty much Midway sneaking when they decided to steal its own idea and claim it as an original game with some MK influence. I use that term loosely since literally ripping sounds and copying moves from another game is considered influence by Wikipedia standards. There are fatalities because, you know, the influence, but none leave a lasting impression, like the head being ripped off or being incinerated by a skull-faced ninja. They're only worth executing if you want a quick laugh, but they do get old after a while. I really don't mean to speak so harshly about the game. Honestly, the only purpose it served was to pretty much beta test the idea of a 3D Mortal Kombat game without having the name tied to it. But it is pretty shitty in Midway to sell a beta of a game that's not coming out till later on at full price of a video game. If I could say one positive thing about the game, it would be its music. It does get you pumped and ready to fight as soon as the logo is shown and play throughout each match. You can pick up War Gods for the Nintendo 64 and also on the PlayStation and on the PC if you're lucky between 50 cents to $4. Thanks for watching and adios.